Hey everyone, and welcome to the Convos with Anita Santiago podcast. I am your host, Anita Santiago. I'd like to ask you to like, share, review, and follow the podcast on all platforms and the Convos with Anita Santiago social media pages. Please pop over to the website, Life Convos, LIFECONVOS convos.com, and get all the latest updates on the podcast and the great podcast merch. And also, if you'd like to reach out to me directly, you can do that at convoscws@gmail.com. Today, the word hope has been on my mind. It's been on my mind for a couple of weeks, and there's so much going on in the world right now. Hope seems to be very relevant. So I want to read a meme to you by a person named Nikki Banis, and it's entitled Hope. And it says, if you only carry one thing throughout your entire life, let it be hope. Let it be hope that better things are always ahead. Let it be hope that you can get through even the toughest of times. Let it be hope that you are stronger than any challenge that comes your way. Let it be hope that you are exactly where you're meant to be right now and that you're on the path to where you're meant to be. Because during these times, hope will be the very thing that carries you through. I thought that was so relevant and timely considering all the things that's been going on. We just had Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton. There are other things going on in the world, concerning things. And you may even find yourself struggling on a personal level. This is a pretty tough economy. Everything's going up in price. It's getting harder to make ends meet. So there are a lot of stressors out here. Hope is a really powerful thing. And so you guys know that I'm in school. I'm in a doctorate program. So I wanted to see what the research said about hope. And I was really surprised at how much research has been done on the concept of hope. When I went out there to the online libraries and I looked at some articles, I came up with a couple of conclusions. Hope can be looked at from many different angles. So first of all, hope can be looked at as a cognitive pattern, a way of thinking. And so in the article that I read, it said that hope is a pattern of thinking that creates alternate strategies, or that can create alternate strategies for people to achieve their goal. Goal-oriented strategies of thinking that help you reach a goal. That's looking at hope from a thought perspective. So you've heard many memes, reels, videos of people that talk about mindset, strongholds, how we think about the things that impact our daily lives. Well, if you have hope, that means that in your thought patterns, no matter what you're dealing with, you're going to be more likely to develop strategies and be adaptable towards meeting your goal because of the way you think about things. And for people that are very cognitive oriented, thought oriented, that makes sense. That the way I think about things, my mindset about things can have a lot to do with whether I have hope or not. So here's the thing. If you're a person that thinks about strategies and being adaptable, and for many people, this is subconscious because you've been that way all your life. You've done it all your life. So it's natural to you. It's something that you do naturally. That's just how you move. You're always thinking, you're always analyzing, you're always considering What are the possibilities? And if this doesn't work, what would I do? Often these are the people that we see that do a plan A, B, C, D. They want to make sure that they're in a position that no matter what happens, they don't lose sight of the goal, and they work really hard to make changes when necessary, adaptive flexibility, approaching things from a different point of view to ensure that they get as close to the goal as possible. So that's one way of looking at hope. In this same article, the authors presented the perspective of hope as emotions and behaviors. And that's more of a psychological perspective, meaning that the way you feel and the way you behave promotes a sense of positivity that helps you move forward. And that's basically your personality or your stance. This can be integrated into your personality, or it could be your general personality. But your emotions, what you feel, you tend to be more optimistic. You tend to be more open to things turning out well than not well. So that brings us to that old saying, the glass is half empty or half full. You would be the half full person. You just generally feel good about things. And that doesn't mean that you're oblivious to possibilities. It just means that typically you prefer to stay in the space of things being good or turning out well. So hope can be characterized as emotions and behaviors that move us forward. And then I thought about hope from a faith perspective. I identify as Christian, everybody doesn't. No matter what your faith is, whether you're Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, something else, hope as part of your faith value system gives you a way of understanding that there's something on the other side of the challenge. There's something to work towards. There's something to be hopeful about, whether that's relationships with others or the tenets of your belief. Hope can be a very critical part of a faith value system. So in that sense, hope can be either a way of thinking, it can be emotions or behaviors, or it can be part of your faith system. You may have hope from all three perspectives, or you may have hope from one perspective. But the key is having the hope. And in times like this where there's so many challenges that we're faced with on a daily basis, some people are literally trying to decide between food and medicine. Some people are struggling to put gas in their cars. Some people are struggling to get their cars fixed. Some people are struggling with affordable housing. How do we have hope when so much turmoil and negativity is coming our way? Okay, so if you have hope, share it. Be a hope dealer. Be a dealer of hope. Anita, what are you talking about? Well, if you're able to be hopeful, you're able to share hope as an emotion or a feeling. You're able to share hope by helping people work through some of the thoughts and patterns, mindsets that they have that may be contributing to their situation. That's being a hope dealer, sharing hope. Now, in what we call popular psychology, that would be your, books that people write, Dr. this person and Dr. that person, that just say, yeah, be positive and you can do it. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. I call that toxic positivity, where you're just positive to the point where you don't recognize that there are obstacles and challenges and negativity out here. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is that if you find yourself in a place where you are able to be hopeful, share that hope with the people around you. What could that look like? Well, let's start with communication. That's my big thing. Words matter. Language matters. Are you using hopeful language when you're talking to the people around you? What about the children that you come in contact with? Do you speak hopeful or do you speak negatively? And for a lot of people that talk and don't listen to themselves, you may not realize that you're not being hopeful. Children need hope. People need hope. Not delusions, but hope. So what could that look like? A smile, a kind word, encouraging word. When people are in very tough times, and depending on how deep that situation is that they're in, I don't think speaking to the point where you don't acknowledge they're in a tough time is helpful. But what you can say is, as bad as it is, you're still here. You still have an opportunity to move through this. And maybe it's just a matter of taking this big, huge problem and breaking it down into chunks and dealing with things one piece at a time. That's really hopeful. If I have problems, I've got money problems, I've got car problems, I've got school problems, and you say, hey, maybe if you break this up into bite-sized pieces, you can really move through this problem. All of a sudden, it's not a huge obstacle, but it's just a series of problems to solve. That's what speaking hope to people can look like. Whenever I see little children, when I'm out and about and I see little children, I always try to smile and say something really hopeful or positive. I ask them questions. And, you can tell with a child when they feel heard and seen. Their demeanor changes, their body language changes, and they go, ooh, you're interested in me. Sure. Because why? Children today deal with so much more than they have in the past. And we need to instill hope at an early age and then encourage them to be hopeful going forward, to have dreams, to think big, think outside the box. So one way you can be a hope dealer and share hope is through language, how you speak to people. Another way that you can share hope is to be present. Be present. Hey, I know you're going through something. Do you need me to come by? Can I be helpful with something that you need help with? Do you need a ride? What can I do for you? Now, you have to be careful, because sometimes when people are going through something really hard, they may not be as open to letting you into their space. But for me personally, I love serving people. So if there's a way that I can be helpful to you, I will try to do it if it's within reason. And what does that do? That lets the other person know, first, they're not alone. Second, that someone cares. And more importantly, that there are more possibilities on the other side of the obstacle or challenges that they're going through. If you've ever had friends that have gone through health scares or just really, really bad times, lost their housing, lost family members, then you know how important it is to be present. And sometimes it's just the offer. The person may not really allow you into the space while they're going through the challenge. They may want to tackle that on their own. But just knowing that they have someone there that cares can be very hopeful. So being present, making yourself available can be a way of being a hope dealer. I think another way you can do that is when people share their challenge and problems with you, come up with some ideas, brainstorm. Let them know that, you may not have been able to figure this out by yourself, but maybe together, us sitting down and talking, maybe we can come up with a solution. Maybe we can come up with some ideas. Sometimes in my family, people will come to me because they're at the end of their list of ideas and they know that I'm a very creative person. I like to put my mental energy into things. So they'll say, "Hey, cuz I need some new ideas, something different." Okay, let's sit down and talk about it and see what we can come up with. And all of a sudden, that person can see more possibilities than they could see on their own, which can be very hopeful. So being available to talk, brainstorm, um, work it out can really mean a lot to people when they don't have hope. And those things are things that we can do person to person, right? Those are things that we can do on our level. But there's also things you can do on a bigger level. And one of the things I've done is I've participated in organizations that sponsor children, where I have been pen pals with children in other countries, and just writing to them, hearing about what they're doing and accomplishing, and writing them back and letting them know that, hey, on this whole big globe, there's somebody that's really interested in who you are and what you're doing, can provide a lot of hope. And I don't want to mischaracterize that. These charitable organizations that I participated in before, that was my goal. I mean, yeah, I'm contributing financially, but I'm more interested in the people. And I want to build those bridges and connections. And I want to be that person that is interested in giving you feedback and talking to you and letting you know that, hey, there's a lot of hope. You want to be a doctor? You may not see how you can be a doctor living where you live now and in the circumstance that you want to be now, but it's very possible. You want to own a business? You want to move to another country? It's very possible. And as I'm sharing this topic with you and I'm saying let's be hope dealers and let's promote hope, check out my last episode about dream killing. Let's be hope dealers and at the same time not be dream killers, right? Because sometimes people find themselves in situations where they've settled and it's hard to move forward. If you're a person that says, let's say, I'm going to use myself for example. Let's say you decide to change careers and now you've been working in accounting all your life and now you're going to be an artist. And people are going to look at you and say, oh my God, I can't believe you're going to give up your great job to do art. We need to be given some hope there. Oh my gosh, you were so brave to take on a huge career change to pivot from what you know to what you love. Wow. How can I be of help to you? Maybe you can bounce some ideas off of me. Maybe I can go with you to your first art show or encourage you while you take art classes. I know that's a little bit of a extreme example, but I think honestly, many people get to a point in their lives where they say, well, it's just no point in trying to do this at this point. And that's when we, the people surrounding that person, should be dealing hope, saying, hey, if this is something that makes sense to you and this is something you're passionate about and you want to do, you're able, you're capable, you're smart enough. You have the drive, you have the determination. Go for it. We need a lot more of that. We need a lot more of that. And as we look at the states that have been decimated by natural disasters and the challenges that people are having in different cities. There are things going on with homelessness where laws are coming out making it harder for people. How can we deal hope on those levels? Well, we can get involved with organizations that serve those populations. And we can also find other ways to just give some positivity. We have a lot going on here in St. Louis. That's where I'm at. And there are so many opportunities to serve. There's so many organizations and nonprofits doing amazing things. If you are looking for a way to make a difference, maybe that's a way for you to do it. Get involved with an organization that will put you in front of people that you can interact with and deal with. And now you can be that hope dealer. Many people walk around without hope. I work in mental health. You guys know that. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I'm also finishing up my doctorate in psychology. Suicide and suicidal thoughts are something that many, many people deal with. Where does that come from? A sense of hopelessness. People sometimes get to the point where they can see no reason on this earth that they can get through what they're experiencing. This story I'm about to tell, I often tell this story, and I thought it was so phenomenal. So after my first time I ever went to New York City, I was reading an article where it was like an article in a newspaper. And yes, that was back in the days where we were actually reading printed newspapers. And it was an article about a guy that was talking about the power of a smile. And what this guy basically said was that he left his apartment in New York that morning. Now, this article is probably, let's see, I'm years old. So this article is probably 30 or 40 years old. But he left his apartment that morning intent to kill himself or unalive himself. I don't know what the right word is now in the digital space, but suicide was definitely on his mind. And he was walking down the streets. And, you know, in New York, people just are not smiling like we do here in the Midwest. But this lady smiled at him and said hello. And he said her smile and the fact that she saw him in that sea of people and she said hello to him made him rethink what he was planning to do. And he felt seen. He felt seen, like somebody saw me, and all of a sudden his mind shifted from there's no hope for me to, maybe I'm not looking at this the way I should be. I've always remembered that story because the power of a smile is real. And even when you don't use words, smiling at someone and letting them know, hey, I see you. How you doing? That smile conveys hope sometimes. And I think that there are so many ways that we can do more to spread hope and to give hope. Every chance and every space that we get, making ourselves available to let others know that, hey, you can do this. We can do it together. I'm here for you. And this applies to family members, friends, coworkers, acquaintances, people you network with. There's such a great need for hope in every space you can imagine. Schools, look at our school systems. Our schools in the United States are just really having some issues and challenges, right? But if we take the position that it'll never get better, nothing can ever be done and nothing ever works, where's the hope in that? Where's the hope for our kids to produce children that are very well educated and capable? We have to have hope to do that. And if, for those people that can really relate to this, Everyone who knows me, when my son was in school, I was volunteering at the school. When I graduated high school, I went back to my school district and volunteered for 2 years. Why? Because you got to be the change you want to see. If you believe a situation is hopeful and you can believe it can change, roll your sleeves up, jump in, and be part of the change. We talk a lot about what should and shouldn't be, how things should and shouldn't be. What I'm suggesting to you is that if we become hope dealers, we can get in there and we can start spreading some hope and seeing things change. So hope is the word for the day. Marinate on it. Challenge yourself. Ask yourself, have I been have I shared hope with anyone this week? So that's your challenge. Let's see. Do I want to say one person or three? Let's go with three. Your challenge is to share hope with three people that you come into contact with. That might be as simple as smiling at a stranger, or it may be sitting down, having a heart-to-heart with someone that you know is struggling. And I promise you, once you get in the habit of doing that, you'll do it all the time till it becomes subconscious, and you're constantly looking for ways to give people hope every day. Every day. Strangers, people that you know, very hopeful. I believe if we did more of that, this would definitely be a different place. Definitely. So, hope. Spread hope. Thank you all for dropping on by to the Convos with Anita Santiago podcast. I appreciate each and every listener, fan, and supporter that continues to come back and share, listen to episodes, share episodes. You are very appreciated. So thank you so much. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, review the podcast on all the major platforms. Pop over to the website, lifeconvos.com. Check out the updates and the merch. And follow the Convos with Anita Santiago on all the podcast social media pages. Thanks so much for stopping by and happy listening.